I was in the middle of grocery shopping when my phone rang. It was my nephew, Tyler. He's 12, and the first thing I heard was crying. Not just upset crying, the kind of crying where you can barely breathe, where words come out in broken pieces. Aunt Sarah, I can't do this anymore. That phone call, it changed both of our lives. And what I did next is either the craziest thing you've ever heard or the most brilliant. Let me explain. Tyler had been getting bullied for 8 months. 8 months. My sister, his mom, had tried everything. Talked to teachers, had meetings with the principal, even sat down with one of the bully's parents who basically said, boys will be boys, and did absolutely nothing. The bullying started because Tyler joined the drama club. Let me say that again. He joined the drama club. And apparently, that made him a target. They called him names in the hallway, knocked his books down, made fun of the way he talked, posted stuff about him online. The whole nightmare. And Tyler? He's this sweet, creative kid who just wanted to perform in the school play. That's it. But after 8 months of constant attacks, he was breaking. My sister called me that morning before Tyler did. Her voice was exhausted. Sarah, I don't know what to do anymore. He doesn't want to go to school. He cries every night. I've tried everything and nothing is working. I told her I'd figure something out. I had no idea what, but I knew I had to do something. And then Tyler called me from the school bathroom, hiding, crying, telling me he couldn't take it anymore. That's when the idea hit me. The absolutely wild idea. See, I had gotten married 6 months earlier, and my wedding dress was still hanging in my closet because I hadn't figured out what to do with it yet. It was this big, dramatic, princess-style dress, huge skirt, sparkles everywhere, the whole thing. And sitting there in that grocery store parking lot, listening to my nephew sob, I thought, you know what these kids need to see? They need to see that being different is not just okay, it's powerful. They need to see someone who doesn't care what anyone thinks. They need a disruption so big that it breaks the pattern. So I called my sister. I'm coming to Tyler's school tomorrow, and I need you to trust me on this. What are you going to do? Something memorable. That night, I dug out my wedding dress. I put it on. Full makeup, hair done, the veil, everything. I looked in the mirror and I thought, Sarah, you are either about to be a hero or a complete lunatic. Maybe both. My husband walked in and just stared at me. Babe, what are you doing? I'm going to Tyler's school tomorrow. In your wedding dress? Yep. He was quiet for a second, then he smiled. You're going to terrify those kids. That's the plan. The next morning, I woke up at 6. I did my makeup. I put on the dress. I put on the veil. I even wore the heels I got married in, which I swore I'd never wear again because they absolutely destroyed my feet. But this was worth destroyed feet. My sister was in on it. She had told the school that Tyler's aunt was coming to have lunch with him as part of a family support visit. They had no idea what was coming. I pulled up to the school at 11:45, right before lunch period. I parked. I checked myself in the rearview mirror. I took a deep breath, and then I stepped out of my car in full wedding dress glory, in the middle of a middle school parking lot. A teacher walking to her car literally stopped mid-step and stared at me. A group of kids getting picked up early just froze. I waved. Hi, I'm here to see my nephew. And I walked straight toward the front entrance like I was walking down the aisle again. The front desk lady's face when I walked in, I will remember that face for the rest of my life. She just blinked at me, mouth open. No words. Hi, I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm here to have lunch with Tyler Rodriguez. You're in a wedding dress? Yes, is that going to be a problem? She stammered something about signing in, and I signed the visitor log in my full wedding dress and veil. Other office staff were coming out of their offices, staring. whispering, and I just smiled and waited. Now here's the thing. I didn't do this to embarrass Tyler. That was my biggest fear. But I knew Tyler. I knew that what he needed wasn't someone to fight his battles for him. He needed someone to show him that the opinions of bullies don't matter, that being different isn't something to hide, that confidence comes from the people who love you, reminding you that you're worth showing up for, even if that means looking absolutely ridiculous. A front desk called down to Tyler's classroom, and I waited. Tyler walked into the office. He saw me, and his face went through about 7 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, shock, embarrassment, and then something else. He started laughing, not nervous laughing, real, genuine, surprised laughter. "Aunt Sarah, what are you wearing?" "My wedding dress, obviously. I thought we'd have lunch together." You wore your wedding dress to my school?" "Well, you're in the drama club, right? I figured I'd bring some drama." He laughed again, harder this time. And then I saw it, that little spark in his eyes that had been missing for months. We walked to the cafeteria together. Me, in a full wedding dress and veil. Him, in his regular school clothes, walking next to me like we were in a parade. And let me tell you what happened when we walked into that cafeteria. Silence. Complete, total silence. Every single kid stopped talking, stopped eating, just stared. And then someone yelled, "Is that a wedding dress?" Tyler looked up at me. I looked down at him. And I said, loud enough for people nearby to hear, "You know what, Tyler? I wore this dress on the best day of my life. And you know why it was the best day? Because I was surrounded by people who loved me exactly as I am. That's what matters, not what anyone else thinks." We got our lunch. We sat down, and here's what happened next. Kids started coming up to our table, not to make fun of us, to ask questions. "Why are you wearing a wedding dress? Are you getting married today? Can I touch your veil?" And I answered every single question with the same energy. I wore this because my nephew is the coolest kid in this school, and I wanted to remind him of that. One girl, she was in Tyler's drama club, came up and said, "That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen." Tyler was smiling, really smiling, and then I saw them, the bullies. 3 boys sitting at a table across the cafeteria, watching, whispering. One of them pointed at me and laughed. So I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I stood up. I walked over to their table in my full wedding dress, and I said very calmly, "Hi, I'm Tyler's aunt. I hear you guys have been spending a lot of time focused on my nephew. That must mean you think he's pretty interesting." They didn't say anything. Here's the thing. Tyler is in the drama club because he's talented. He's confident enough to perform in front of people. That takes guts. What do you guys do that takes guts? Still nothing. Right. So maybe instead of making fun of someone who's brave enough to be himself, you could try being brave enough to be decent human beings. Just a thought. And I walked away. Tyler's face was pure shock. And then, the whole cafeteria started clapping. I'm not even kidding. Kids were clapping, cheering. Some were laughing, not at us, but with us. It was the most surreal moment of my life. After lunch, I walked Tyler back to class. He hugged me in the hallway, and he whispered, "Thank you, Aunt Sarah. I feel different now." Different how? Like maybe it's okay to be me. That, right there, that's what it was all about. See, here's what I learned from this whole crazy experience. Confidence doesn't come from fitting in. It doesn't come from being like everyone else. It doesn't even come from being tough enough to ignore bullies on your own. Real confidence, the kind that actually sticks, comes from knowing that someone loves you enough to look absolutely insane just to remind you of your worth. It comes from seeing that the rules we think matter, they don't. What matters is showing up, being brave, being different, being you. Those bullies, they stopped bothering Tyler after that day. Not because I scared them, though maybe I did a little, but because the whole school saw what happened. Tyler wasn't the weird drama club kid anymore. He was the kid whose aunt loved him so much she wore a wedding dress to school. He became legendary, and more than that, he remembered that he was worth showing up for. Tyler finished the school year in the drama club. He performed in the spring musical. He was incredible. He made new friends, real friends who liked him for exactly who he was. And me? I kept that wedding dress. I was going to donate it or sell it. But now it's a reminder. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to follow the script everyone expects. Sometimes you have to put on a wedding dress and walk into a middle school cafeteria just to show someone they matter. Look, I know not everyone can do something this wild, but here's what you can do. If someone you love is struggling, a kid, a friend, a family member, show up for them in whatever way you can. Maybe it's not a wedding dress. So if you've got someone in your life who needs to remember their worth, show up. Be bold. Be ridiculous if you have to. Because that's what love looks like. And that's the most powerful thing in the world.